So we were given very significant, very terse, very deep introduction about the issue of fate, why Savitri has to undertake yoga, what is the problem she is going to face, and how the greater spirit is going to reverse the balance of nature and fate. That the greater spirit will make the artist of his fate, make the soul the artist of his fate. Now, with this introduction, the epic is moving very swiftly, very rapidly from one episode to the other episode. In the palace, Savitri has declared about the choice of Satyavan. Narad also has made known the death of Satyavan 1 year after the marriage. But Savitri is determined in her resolve. She very firmly asserts, this is done. Whatever is going to happen, let it happen. I know how to meet the challenge of the circumstance, of the event, of the future, of fate. She is firm in her resolve. And Narad approves her choice and takes leave of the royal host and goes back to his home in paradise, Vaikuntha, giving them the auspicious blessings. Sarvesham Bhadram Astu Vaha. Sarvesham Bhadram Astu Vaha. Let noble and auspicious things be to all. That is what Narad pronounces, gives his blessings, and goes back. Now, at this point, Savitri's father has to take the initiative and take Savitri to the place where she has decided to live with Satyavan in the Shalva forest. So the next scene now in the book begins with this description. Let us read a few lines before we see the connections of what is happening all around in the passage, in the epic. First, we have seen already that all was fulfilled. The heart of Savitri had chosen, and on a strange unbending road, forced to its issue the long cosmic curve. All was fulfilled what Savitri had chosen. Therefore now she starts a journey towards the hermitage where lives Satyavan. Once more she sat behind loud hastening hoofs, a speed of armored squadrons, and a voice far heard of chariots bore her from her home. A cautioned earth, wakened in its dumb muse, looked up at her from a vast endurance. Hills swallowing in bright haze, large land that lulled at ease beneath the summer heavens, region on region, spacious in the sun. Cities like chrysolites in the wide blaze, and yellow rivers facing lion-maned led to the Shalva Mahatis emerald line, a happy front of iron vastnesses and austere peaks and Titan solitude. Once more was near the fair and faded place, the borders gleaming with the gross delight, where first he met the face of Satyavan, where first he met the face of Satyavan, and he saw, like one walking in a dream, some timeless beauty and reality, the moon gold sweetness of heaven's earthborn child. And he saw, like one waking into a dream, some timeless beauty and reality, the moon gold sweetness of heaven's earthborn child. This is again a very compact description, suggestive in many ways, bringing out many aspects of the personality of both Satyavan and Savitri. And of course, the personality, the character, the nature, the richness, even the sorrow and the grief and the anguish of the earth. All those are immediately brought here into one quick description. Once more she sat behind loud hastening hoofs, a speed of armored squadrons and a voice far heard of chariots bore her from her home. A cautioned earth, vacant in its dumb muse, looked up at her from a vast indolence. Hills swallowing in bright haze, large lands that lulled at ease beneath the summer heavens, region on region, spacious in the sun, cities like chrysolite in the white blaze, and yellow rivers pacing, lion-maned, led to the Shalva Mahatis emerald line, a happy front to iron vastnesses and austere peaks and Titan solitudes. Once more was near the fair and fated place, the borders gleaming with the gross delight, where first he met the face of Satyavan, and he saw like one waking into a dream some timeless beauty and reality, the moon gold sweetness of heaven's earthborn child. This is the place where they had met first, at the meeting place. And again Savitri has come to that place. The discussion begins with the line, once more she sat behind loud hastening hoofs. Hastening hoofs, the speeding chariots going to the hermitage. Once more. Now this once more is very significant, is very loaded. It has not only the immediate suggestions, but it has also occult depths. That phrase once more. You see, Savitri was first going from place to place, in search of a life partner. She has traveled to various kingdoms, across various countries, lands, mountains, rivers, forests. She was going from place to place constantly, but she could not find one whom she would choose. But now here at the meeting place, by the touch of God, things happened and they met, and Savitri assures Satyavan that she will come back soon from the palace. After meeting him, she has to go back to the palace, to Mathura, and tell her parents about the choice she has made. Savitri has chosen him, she must report back. This is done. The intervening episode speaks of Narad also, but it is all settled now, and she has to go back once more to the place where they had met, and where she had promised Satyavan, yes, soon I will come back. Now that is the immediate context of the phrase once more, as it would run in the storyline, that these things happen, now this is going to happen once more. This is in the storyline. But this once more has a deeper connotation. It has very powerful occult contents in it. Savitri and Satyavan have been coming to do the work throughout the ages, through long ages. Life after life, they have been coming, they have been meeting, they have been carrying on their work. Whatever had got to be done during each life period, they were accomplishing. But now this once more is a more definite, more decisive meeting of the two, and something which has to happen, which had not happened, which could not happen until now, must happen now. Therefore, after so many trials, so many attempts, so many difficulties, she has taken up the challenge once more. And now she is going to accomplish the mission of her mortal birth. Therefore, this once more is really very significant. Once more she sat behind loud hastening hoofs, loud hastening, the chariots speeding, making noise on the roads and the paths. And she is rushing towards the destined place. It also indicates the quickness with which things are going to happen. Yes, now the moment has come. Once more she has taken up the reins in her hand, and the chariot is speeding into its destiny. The job is going to be accomplished. It is going to be done with speed, with decisiveness, with the full impact of her presence now. Because on the unbending road, she is going to force the issue. She is going to make cosmic curve move, take a turn, the way she wants it to take a turn. That is what is going to happen soon now. And it is happening very quickly. This is the content of the passage here. And then as she is going from place to place, the whole scene of the Aryavarta, of the Vedic age, is presented to us in just a few lines, roughly a dozen lines. The whole scene of the Aryavarta is portrayed as a very vivid, very gleaming, very sure picture of the things that are going to happen. A cautioned earth, vacant, is dumb muse. All along, not even a human trace was seen by this earth there, heard the pace of man walking on his road. But now, the speed of the quadrant, the horses rushing on the path, it is they who are making the earth wake up. Yes, you have been lying low, indolent, lazy, luxuriating in your beauty and grandeur and green and all that for too long. Now, come on, wake up. The moment is arriving. Be ready to make yourself for that particular event. Looked up at her from vast indolence. Savitri is being seen by this earth. Oh, somebody is going along this road. And the entire nature is watching the caravan rushing on the way to the hermitage. The squadrons, the chariots, the army, the royal procession marching to the forest. Hills rolling in a bright haze, large lands that load at ease beneath the summer heavens. So the scene is the summer. Savitri is going to the hermitage in the month of summer, about this time, May, June. It is about this time that Savitri is going to the hermitage. Or rather, the meeting or the marriage of Savitri had taken place about this time, in the summer, May, June. And 1 year after the marriage, Satyavan is going to die. It means that he is going to die in summer. Now therefore, the use of the season summer is again purposeful, meaningful, is carrying some hint of what is going to happen because of summer. The death of Satyavan occurs in summer. The death of Satyavan does not occur due to accident, that while cutting the wood trees by chance, by a haphazard stroke, he hits his own limbs and then he dies. It is not that. It is not that he has fallen from the tree and got hurt and collapsed. It is not that also. It is not in the thick forest, in human forest, where there is no habitation, that he would die due to snake bite. Another possibility. All these are ruled out totally. Then what is the cause, the physical cause, the natural cause of his death? The natural cause of the death lies in the summer. The hot summer is the thing behind the death of Satyavan. The natural cause of Satyavan's death lies in the heat of the sun. He says here, summer heavens, large lands load at ease beneath the summer heavens. You can see the intensity of the summer, spacious in the sun. He is using specifically again the word sun during the daytime, hot, intense sun. Satyavan was exerting himself greatly because he wanted to give maximum time to Savitri when they were together in the forest. So he wanted to finish off the day's work quickly and be free of his daily routine. And in the process of hard work and due to the summer heat, he collapsed due to sunstroke. So that could be the cause of his possible death. So he says that lulled at ease beneath the summer heavens, region on region, spacious in the sun, cities like castle-eyes in the wide blaze. You see, again, summer, sun, blaze, the intensity of heat is being shown here. And yellow rivers, facing lion mane, rushing through the muddy waters to the muddy regions. The rivers are yellow in color, and the foam looks like the mane of a lion. And yellow rivers, facing lion mane, led to the Shalva marches, emerald line. A happy front to iron vastnesses and austere peaks and titan solitudes. Now this is the description of nature, extremely beautiful, extremely powerful, extremely meaningful. It has the greatness of the Kalidasian description of nature. While Kalidas could be romantic in the description, what we have here is not only romantic but also deeply classical, deeply meaningful, deeply spiritual. The spiritual touch is very powerful even in these lines, in this description. It is to a certain extent Valmikian. The way in which Valmiki would describe the nature scenes in the Ramayana, it is that which is caught in these few lines, an extremely rare kind of a possibility in a language so unhelpful for an Indian description of this kind. English language is not easily amenable for this kind of a description. But here we have in Savitri one of the most beautiful descriptions of nature, fully loaded with all these possibilities. Once more was near the far and fated place. Again he says, once more was near the fair and fated place. Fated place, we are already saying, well, fate is going to work here. Fate followed her, forcing along a beautiful road. All along we have been seeing that line. So here again is a fated place where things had to happen. On a summer day, in the month of May or June, roughly at midday, at noon hour, when the sun is in full blaze, in its full intensity. Once more was near the fair and fated place, the borders gleaming with the groves of delight, where first he met the face of Satyavan, and he saw like one waking into a dream, waking into a dream. He is not waking out of a dream. He is still dreaming, and suddenly he sees something beautiful there. Oh, what has come across here? Some wonder, some beauty, some joy, some happiness, some felicity of an exceptional kind. Waking into a dream, some timeless beauty and reality. Some timeless beauty and reality. That is what Savitri is. Timeless beauty and reality. Although she has taken a human birth, she is going to be here for a short time, but hers is timeless beauty and reality, which cannot be marred by the moments of time, by earthly durations. the moon gold, sweetness of heaven's time-born child. Well, let us see some of the words which occur in this description. How the poet has chosen some of these epithets, some of these words very purposefully and very consciously to bring out certain deliberate effects also as an artist. Although the whole description is a very natural to him, he is very leisurely, very confidently describing all the details, but there is the touch of the artist also in the entire description. First we have the description of looked up at her from a vast indolence. Earth looked up at Savitri from her vast indolence. What is indolence? Indolence is lying down, leisurely, luxuriating, crouching. That is what she is doing here. It also means it is insensitive to pain. It is not bothered about grief, sorrow, suffering, pain, and things like that. Earth is sort of indifferent, insensitive to the working of fate. Savitri is going to meet something which is very calamitous, but earth is indolent, untouched by grief and pain. That is what it means. The couchant earth, the earth itself is sitting like a beast, like an animal, with all its 4 feet on the ground, pointing forward, like a lion looking forward to see couchant earth, but leisurely, luxuriously. She is musing that earth, contemplating about things around, about nature, about events. She has no clue of what is going to happen, but she is in a mood of constant contemplation. And it is in that indolence, in that muse, in that crouchant position that she is seeing Savitri go by on the road. Then hills wallowing in a bright haze. Hills are wallowing in haze. Normally, the word wallow is used, wallow in mud, wallow in snow, wallow in water. But here, the hills are wallowing in a bright haze. From a distance, you have a hazy picture of the whole thing, and the hills are looking as if they are wallowing in that beautiful haze. Hills wallowing in a bright haze, large lands that load at ease. Load at ease. The landscape, plains, vast ground, swords, grasslands, they are simply luxuriating in their calm, in their peace, in their extension. They are reclining, they are leaning, they are relaxed, all these lands. And then we have here another very beautiful cities like chrysolites in the wide blaze. Earlier we had bright haze, now we have wide blaze. Savitri is going from place to place, traversing different kingdoms, traversing different cities, different palaces, and moving onward to her destined place. And the cities are looking like chrysolites. What is a chrysolite? Chrysolite is an olive-colored stone, green olive-colored stone. And they look like jeweled stones, green, luxurious, brilliant, small little cities in a vast landscape that are looking like shining green stone. Chrysolite is a mineral. The technical name is magnesium silicate or iron silicate. That is the name of the chrysolite as a mineral. It is very green and olive in color, and it also indicates olive is also the color of peace. Extend olive branch, that is what we say. So chrysolites are very peaceful, quiet cities are there as he is moving from region to region. And then we have here a very beautiful description of this chrysolite as a symbol of peace, the olive as a symbol of peace by Shakespeare. Peace push for her, olive everywhere. That is what Savitri is saying here. Peace push forth her, olive everywhere. So while she is going from place to place, you got chrysolites, city after city, olives, peace, stretching from region to region. And while she is approaching her destined place, she is again in that deep, calm peace. In other words, nothing on the foreknown fate of death is going to disturb the peace of the entire place of the region. And then finally what happens? And chrysolites in its white blaze and yellow rivers pacing land-made, led to the Shalva marches emerald line. Again emerald, chrysolite, green, luxurious forest, thick forest, green forest. It is through those regions she is moving. Shalva marches, that is borderline of the tracts bordering the Shalva country. She is now going from one region to the other. She is approaching the borderline of the Shalva country, where she had met Satyavan in the Shalva woods. Marches, regions, tracts bordering a particular state, a particular region. That is what he is describing here. Led to the Shalva marches, emerald line, the whole line of forest and mountains. It is there she is approaching here. March is a measure of the army taking a certain, traversing a certain distance in one single go. When the army goes from one place to the other place non-stop, then the distance covered by the army is called 1 march, 2 march, 3 march. And it is in those marches, in those distances, that Savitri is approaching. Led to the Shalva marches, emerald line, a happy front to the iron vastnesses and austere peaks and Titan solitudes. We are seeing Savitri now going to the hermitage. The decision has been taken. She has already said this is done, and her parents now are taking Savitri to the hermitage, where she will be staying for the next year to kind of encounter the fated event. Now, this is a journey which is described in a very vivid manner, also in a very meaningful manner, and the connotations of even the journey are multifold. See, for instance, the passage, what we saw last time, has twice the same phrase. Once more she sat behind loud hastening hoofs. Once more was near the fair and fated place. Now this once more is again loaded with several connotations. This yogic poetry, the mystic poetry, the occult poetry has always many meanings attached to a given single phrase. Once more in the storyline would simply mean that Savitri had gone from place to place in search of a life's partner. She found one in the distant land. It is decided now that she will be engaged with him, and therefore once more from the palace she has to go to the place where she will be staying in her future life. So that is the plain meaning of the once more in the storyline. Once more she sat behind loud hastening hoofs. Once more was near the far and fated place. The meaning is very clear in terms of the story. Hastening hoofs, she has to be taken there as if she is very eager to reach the place. Very eager, with best kind of a speed, she must reach the place. Therefore the hastening hoofs. And at the same time, once more was near the fair and fated place. Beautiful, great, luxurious, that is the fair place. But also it is a fated place. Fated once more in the sense of things which have been decided by powers which are beyond the control of man. And therefore she has to go and be there, fated place. Now this description of Savitri going from the palace to the fated place is a very cynic kind of a description. How a chariot is going again along the road that had taken place a couple of weeks ago, earlier, when she met Satyavan. That is the plain meaning of it, of course. But the poet is describing nature, the landscape, the mountains, the trees, the forest. The entire panorama is presented to us in these few lines here, as we have seen last time. This is the description of the travel of Savitri when she was also searching, going from place to place. We had an extremely beautiful description of this particular episode in the Mahabharata story of Savitri. Very brief, just 3 verses, 6 lines in Anushtupa meter, but very charged with all the contents. Let us read those few lines first here. How the poet describes Savitri going back to the Selva forest. Sa haimam ritamasthaya stavire sachivai vrata tapovanani ramyani rajashinam jagamaha manyanam tatra vrtanam कृत्वा पाराभिविद्यानां वनानि क्रमशस्तात् सर्वान्नेवाभ्यगच्छत एवं तीर्थेषु सर्वेषु धनोत्सर्गं नृपात्मजा कुर्वती द्विजमुख्यानां तां तां देशां जगामः। साहाय्यं रथमास्थाय स्थविरैः सचिवैः वृता तपोवनानि रम्यानि राजर्षिणां जगामः। मान्यानां तत्र वृद्धानां कृत्वा पाराभिवादाम् वनानि क्रमशस्ता सर्वान्नेवाभ्यगच्छत एवं तीर्थेषु सर्वेषु धनोत्सर्गं नृपात्मजा कुर्वती द्विजमुख्यानां तं तं देशां जगामः। Riding her golden chariot and accompanied by the elderly councillors, Savitri travelled through several lovely woods of penance, set out through lovely woods of penance of the royal cities. Riding her golden chariot and accompanied by the elderly councillors, Sachiva, she travelled through several lovely woods, Tapovana, or the royal sages. There, offering her respects to the venerable aged persons by touching their feet from forest to forest, she went journeying along, thus giving away great wealth in all the places of pilgrimage. Did the princess visit several distant lands and kingdoms inhabited with the most excellent wise persons. Evam tirtheshu sarveshu dhanosargam nrupatmaja kurvati dvijamukhyanam tam tam dejagama desham jagama kurvati dvijamukhyanam tam tam desham jagama. Sakshi goes from place to place, stays in royal palaces in the night. During the daytime, she worships gods. She goes to the temples, makes rich offerings to the priests, to the Brahmins, to the elderly, offers her respects, and goes from place to place. This is the description which we have, brief description in the Mahabharata story. The same theme, the same aspect, the same epic event is described by Sri Aurobindo in about 200 lines. A very beautiful description how she goes from place to place. Tam tam desham jagama, from place to place, how she is moving from kingdom to kingdom, country to country, from forest to forest, from woods to wood. This is the description of the Aryavarta of the ancient time. The land south of Himalayas and north of Vindhyas, stretching from Sindhu in the west to the extreme of the Ganges belt to the east. That is the Aryavarta. And the whole description of the Aryavarta is what we have in those few lines in the Mahabharata story. The same description in another richer lyrical manner is presented in Savitri itself. We have the complete description of how Savitri had travelled in her search, in her quest for a life partner from place to place. Let us read a few passages from that and see how once more the fair and fated place was here. How once more the hasting ooze took her to the hermitage. Now here we have in the book of the birth and quest in Canto 4 the description of the ancient Aryavarta. It starts with esoteric connotations. In the storyline of Savitri given to us by Sri Aurobindo, a prescient architect of fate and chance. The meaning knows and consequence of each step and watches the inferior stumbling powers. So there is already a prescient architect of fate and chance who is taking care of every aspect of our life. And it is he who is going to guide Savitri on her journey. Upon the silent heights, she was aware of a calm presence thrown above her brows, who saw the goal and chose each fateful curve. Across wide noons and glowing afternoons, she met with nature and with human forms and listened to the voices of the world. She is going from place to place. Across wide noons and glowing afternoons, she is traveling on and on. She met with nature and with human forms and listened to the voices of the world. Driven from within, she followed her long road. At first, her path ran through people tracks, admitted the lion eye of states and theatres of the loud act of man. Her caravan chariot, Hemamrata, her caravan chariot with its fretted wheels, threaded through glamorous Mars and sentinel towers. She is going from kingdom to kingdom, from place to place, from city to city, in a chariot, in a golden chariot. Often from gilded dusk to argent dawn, the evening is fallen. In the night, she would rest in some kingly palace. Often from gilded dusk to argent dawn, dimly she glided between banks of sleep, at rest in the slumbering palaces of kings. As she sees the princess, the convoy is there, the minister is accompanying her, and all the arrangements for the stay in the night are made in different palaces. Often from gilded dusk to argent dawn, dimly she glided between banks of sleep, at rest in the slumbering palaces of kings. Day comes, morning, and the journey starts. Hamlet and village saw the fate van pass. They see the wonder moving, small little villages, village folk, they see the stage convoy moving, the fate van pass. Homes of a life bent to the soil it blows. Here was the childhood of primeval earth in a pristine glory, untouched by human hand, human civilization, human contradictions, human conflict, human ambition, human desires, human accomplishments, untouched by time. Here was the childhood of primeval earth. Here timeless musings, large and glad and still. Men had forborne as yet to fill with cares. Mid green musing of woods and the broad hills, in the groves murmurs the air humming wide, or by the long lapsing voice of silver floods, the rivers are moving, or by the long lapsing voice of silver floods, like a swift hope journeying among its dreams, hasten the chariot of the golden bride. Savitri's chariot, carbon car, Hemam Ratha, is moving from place to place. By the long lapsing voice of silver floods, like a swift hope journeying among its dreams, hasten the chariot of the golden bride. Absorbed her into emerald secrecies, and slow hushed wizard nets of fairy bloom, enviant with their color, snare her beats. She is moving to place and place. And what happens then? The inner ear that listens to solitude. There is no voice except of bird and beast. No human voice there at all. But in that great luminous solitude, the inner ear, he listens to what solitude is going to tell her. What is the solitude telling her? Leaning, self-wrapped, unboundedly cloud her the rhythm of the intenser, wordless thought. The spirit, stumbling the fields of sense, this creature, bruised in the mortar of the days, could find in her broad spaces of release. Human anguish, human suffering, human pain, it is that which finds solace in the solitude. Not yet was a world all occupied by care. In the solitude, there was nothing which should worry one. Not yet was a world occupied by care. The bosom of our mother kept for us still her austere regions and her musing depths, her impersonal reaches, lonely and inspired, and the mightinesses of her raptured horns. Fields she had of a solitary mirth, plains hushed and happy in the embrace of light, alone with the cry of birds and hues of flowers, and wildernesses of wonder lit by her moons, and grey sheer evenings kindling with the stars, and dim movement with the night's infinitude. August, exulting in her Maker's eye, she felt her nearness to him in earth's breast. In that solitude, Savitri feels the nearness of the Maker's, who is occupying the place. Converse still with the light behind the veil. Still commune with eternity beyond. A few and fit inhabitants she called to share the glad communion of her peace. The breadth, the summit were their natural home. Who are these few and fair inhabitants? We have a description of all those great souls who are engaged in tapasya, in yoga, in yajna, in spiritual practices. In the groves of that solitude, in that Tapovana are the hermitages of rishis and sages and munis residing there, Rajarshis. The strong king sages, from their labor done, free from the warrior tension of the task, came to her serene station. In these whiles, the strife was over, the respite lay in front, and so on. Some was no more merged in a lonely self, absorbed in the trance from which no soul returns. All the occult world lines were ever closed. The chains of birth and person cast away. Some uncompanion reached the ineffable. So this is the place of the Tapasvins, and it is there now Savitri is arriving in a golden chariot. So this is the description of the ancient Aryabharta, which is what we have in these few lines here at the beginning of the book of Yoga itself. Once more she stands behind loud hastening hoofs, a speed of armored squadrons and a voice far heard of chariots bore her from her home. A cautioned earth, vacant in its dumb views, looked up at her from a vast indolence. Hills swallowing in bright haze, large land that lulled at ease beneath the summer heavens, region on region, spacious in the sun. Cities that crystallize in the wide blaze, and yellow rivers pacing, lion made, led to the Salva marges emerald line. A happy friend to iron vastnesses and austere peaks and tyrant solitudes. Once more was near the fair and fated place. The borders gleaming with the gross delight, where first she met the face of Satyavan, and she saw, like one waking into a dream, some timeless beauty and reality, the moon gold sweetness of heaven's earth-born child. So Savitri arrives at the Shiva forest in a golden chariot, crossing kingdoms and realms of various types, and reaches the Shiva forest maybe after a journey of a couple of weeks. And now from here onward, the story moves forward with a different pace. So we had a description of the Aryabharta, the various kingdoms and countryside and forest and plains through which a convoy was marching toward the Shiva forest, the hermitages of the rishis and the ascetics, and the dwelling place of Satyavan. The whole scene is a very beautiful scene, but now the poet is introducing the next feature of the story, of the epic, which is moving very rapidly from place to place, from event to event. It begins, we saw last time, once more was near the far and fair and fated place. once more was near the fair and fated place, that is the Shalva Hermitages. She is now about to reach the forest and were introduced to the contrast between what is there what is there for Savitri in future and what she had back in Mathura, the palace of Ashwapati. The past receded and a future neared. Again, this is a loaded line. There are multiple layers of meaning once more. Here also the past receded and the future neared. In terms of the immediate journey of Savitri, it means that her life as a princess in Ashwapati's palace is receding back, and the future in the hermitage in the Shalva woods is beginning. That is what the plain storyline would mean. The past receded and the future neared. But at the same time, it is not just the historical past, it is also the epochal past. It is also the epochal future which is dawning pretty soon. Savitri's mission, which she had been carrying on life after life, has now accumulated into a moment which can mold the future. It can shape the future. The future is near. Her mission, its fulfillment, this is what is suggested by this simple phrase, the future neared. Due to the fact that the description is in the time domain, past and future, it gives the idea of the entire thrust of our work through different stages of time. Bhuta, that is over, Bhavishya is approaching. In the spiritual sense, in the occult sense, in the sense of the mission. But suddenly then we have the description of space also. This was the description in the two divisions of time, the past and the future. Now the description follows in terms of location, in terms of space. Far now behind lay Mathura's spacious halls, the white carved pillars, the dim cool alcoves, the tinged mosaic of the crystal floors, the towered pavilions, the towered pavilions, the wind-rippled pools, the garden humming with the murmur of bees, forgotten stone, or a pale memory. All that past where she lived as a young princess is now becoming a faint memory because the future is nearing. And gardens humming with the murmur of bees, forgotten stone, or a pale memory. The fountains splash in the wide stone-bound pool. The thoughtful noontides brooding solemn trance. The colonnades dream grey in the quiet eve. The slow moonrise gliding in front of night. The thoughtful noontides, brooding solemn trance, the colonnades dream grey, in the quiet eve, the slow moonrise, gliding in front of night. So, again here, we have simultaneous description in terms of space locations, in terms of time movement. Thoughtful noontide, the dream grey, or the quiet eve, moonrise, gliding in front of night. So we have got noon, we have got eve, we have got night. That is how the past is receding and the future is dawning with a new dawn. So this is magical poetry, weaving together with one single thread, space and time. The description of Madhura and the description of what is going to happen in time. Noontide, eve, night, moonshine. This is typically Arvidonian, which in a certain sense would draw something for the Kalidasian and the Valmikian ethos of poetry. And it is so sweet, so lyrical, so full of meaning also. It is not description of time and space for the sake of description. It is suggestive also in terms of what is going to happen and its relationship with the work and vision of Savitri. Far now behind lay spacious halls of Madhura. We had the description of Madhura very vividly presented in just 2 or 3 lines in the Book of Fate. Narad is arriving from his heaven in paradise and is about to land at Madhura. The description is very sweet, very enchanting again, and most lyrical. Most lyrical. Did you see that? Narad is arriving with the speed of a lightning. As might a lightning streak, a glory fell, nearing until the rapt eyes of the sage looked out from luminous cloud and strangely limned. His face, a beautiful mask of antique joy, appearing in light, descended, where arose King Ashwapati's palace to the winds, where arose King Ashwapati's palace to the winds, in Madhura, flowering up in delicate stone. That is in Madhura, where Savitri was born, where Savitri grew as a princess, where from now she is going to the hermitages in the Shalva woods. King Ashwapati's palace to the winds in Madhura, flowering up in delicate stone. That gives us at once an idea about the kind of city where Ashwapati lived, which Ashwapati built, where Savitri, the divine child, grew up. The palace built up in delicate stone. There is a certain charm in that, sweetness, delicacy, which is very characteristic of the divine child itself. In fact, the whole picture what we have here, far now behind lay Madra's spacious halls, the white carved pillars, the cool dim alcoves, the traced mosaic of the crystal floors, the towered pavilions, the ventriple pools and gardens humming with the murmur of bees. Forgotten soul, or a pale memory, the fountains splash in the wide, stone-bound pool, the thoughtful noontides brooding solemn trance, the colonnades dream grey in the quiet eve, the slow moonrise gliding in front of night. This is an exquisite description of exquisite Madhura. It has classical solemnity. It is also lyrically very beautiful. Waters of Alaknanda moving by the side of the city, washing its houses and fields and gardens. Palace carved in delicate stone. That is what Madhura is. A classical picture of delicacy, of charm, of sweetness, of love. A perfect house for a perfect child who has taken birth here in the human conditions. In the classical literature, there are number of famous cities, and one could kind of compare Ashwapati's Madhura with those cities. In the Ramayana, there is a very elaborate description of Ayodhya. Where Rama was born and grew as a prince, and which was getting ready for his coronation ceremony. The description is very elaborate, very detailed, very beautiful, very artistic, also speaking of the artistic nature of the city itself, of the ancient Ayodhya. We have later on in the Mahabharata a wonderful description of the palaces built by the demon Asura, Maya Sabha. It was a palace built by Vishwakarma. In all its richness, in all its charm and spell, and every kind of a detail present in it. It is not a very delicate palace like Ayodhya or Ashwapati's Madhura on the banks of Alaknanda in the lower Himalayas. We also have descriptions of Indrasabha, elaborate palace halls where things are happening constantly in joy and dance and kind of luxury and merriment. These are palaces studded with gems, and the gems are quarried from the moon rocks, from the moon gold. The gems are quarried and used for decoration and for artistic construction of the palaces. In contrast to that, we have the Roman Emperor Augustus Caesar's Palaceum of imperial majesty. Massive, wonderful, elaborate. Massive in the nature of the imperialism of Rome itself. We have in the 3rd millennium BC the city of Damascus, whose few remnants are still present. We have, of course, the Periclean Athens, with its Acropolis, with its busy agora, with its impressive, majestic, luminous Parthenon, the house of the goddess of Athens, Athena. We have, of course, the historic city of Troy, Priam's Troy, full of epic glory, epic chronicles of triumph and tragedy written on its walls. Then, of course, later on, we had, in fact, much earlier than that, we had Gilgamesh's Uruk, the Sumerian city of the ancient days, with magnificent buildings decorated with reliefs and mosaics, courtyards, jaguars, and palaces and halls. All these ancient cities speak of another world, another one. These are the cities which shaped destiny, in the joy of marching history. In contrast to that city, those cities, Ashwapati's Madura is stone carved, delicate in nature. Far now behind lay Madras spacious halls, the white carved pillars, the cool alcoves, the trained mosaic of the crystal floors, the towered pavilions, the wind-rippled pools, the gardens humming with murmur of bees. Forgotten soon or a pale memory, the fountains splashed in the white stone-bound pool, the thoughtful noontides brooding solemn trance, the colonnades dream grey in the quiet eve, the slow moonrise gliding in front of night. This is the city which is now left behind. Also the past memories, left far behind, were now the faces known, the happy silken babble on laughter's lips, and the close clinging clasp of intimate hands, and adoration's light in cherished eyes offered to the one sovereign of their life. This is the description of young Savitri. Savitri as a child with happy silken babble on laughter's lips. all that is now, all the past, and the future is dawning pretty soon.